welcome to the current installation of the House 94 podcast. Today, we have a special guest. Last week, we took it light. You know what I'm saying? We had Joy on from 3BC. Thanks again. Tonight, we got to take it to a little bit more gravity. We want to get on the topic of men's health and, being Morehouse men. Yeah, there's no shortage of experts, kings and potentates we can reach out to at all levels of government and industry, titans all over the place we can reach out to that can come on and give us some insight into literally any topic that we'd like to discuss. And today, since everybody started talking about the election and the GSA just signed a letter of ascertainment, so we're about to get Donald Trump's ass, or excuse me, the cocksucker in chief out of office. We now are joined today by Thomas W. Abernathy Jr., MD, another one of our classmates from Hubert Hall, first floor, from 1990. He joined the Digestive Disease Associates in 2008 and is a native of the Greater Washington, D.C. metro area, growing up in Silver Spring, Maryland. Dr. Abernathy graduated with honors from Morehouse College. Like I said, he was there, when we were there, same hall, and went on to the Medical College of Pennsylvania School of Medicine, now Drexel University School of Medicine, where he received his medical degree. Dr. Abernathy attended the Washington Hospital Center in the District of Columbia, where he completed his internal medicine residency program and fellowship program. In 2005, he joined a private practice in Annapolis, Maryland, and after 3 years, decided to embark on new opportunities at Digestive Disease Associates, who have 15 physicians and 3 nurse practitioners who service Maryland's Anne Arundel, Howard, and Baltimore counties, in addition to portions of Baltimore City. Hope I said that right. I know a lot of folks in Baltimore, so, don't be mad at me. Dr. Abernathy is board certified in gastroenterology and a diplomat of the American Board of Internal Medicine. He's affiliated with the American Gastroenterology Association, American Society of Gastrointestinal Endoscopy. Did I say that right?
You said that right.
I'm trying, man. I'm trying.
Well, good job.
American College of Gastroenterology, American Association. Man, this man is busy and extraordinarily well qualified. I'll just say that. Well celebrated and on several boards, community service, ancillary service development committees, so on and so forth. He does colonoscopies, as we were just talking about a second ago, wireless capsule endoscopies, screening for Barrett's esophagus, so on and so forth. Basically anything to do with gastric issues, gastroenterology, he is your man. He has strong ties to Maryland, not only loves to serve, but also being involved in the communities. While when he's not seeing patients, he enjoys spending time with his family and pursuing outside interests, including working out, mountain biking, snowboarding, high performance diving. Wow. That's a rich man's activity. High performance driving, which is even a richer man's activity. Sorry. Different community service aspects. And obviously also a member of Omega Psi Phi Fraternity Incorporated. So also our brother, Rue. And as a part of this, and I'm sure you're going to talk about this, Tom went through a weight loss journey. And correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't think it was like one of those, I need to lose weight. It's just one of those, I want to get healthier type things, and basically developed a real stable and gimmicky way of weight loss and weight management. And he stuck with that over the course of some years. So with no further ado, we're going to bring on Dr. Abernathy. Thank you very much for joining us tonight and, imparting some of his wisdom. And like I said, we're going to have a series of questions, try to make it interactive, but we're going to give you the floor, and we can't wait to get this information. So welcome.
Well, thank you very much. Appreciate it. Thank you for having me, fellas. First, want to thank you guys for the invitation to speak to you all regarding men's health. And again, I'd like to congratulate you guys on starting this podcast, and I continue wishing you guys continued success. I'm a subscriber, so, I tune in now. The goal of my discussion today is to bring awareness. I kind of want to start it off by the top 10 leading causes of death, right? And kind of tie it into men, and then specifically tie in areas of Black men's health, okay? What affects us? I won't be able to cover all of those 10 subject areas in detail, given the vast amount of information, but I'll leave you with some bullet points and some highlights. so that you may become an active participant and invest some time and your effort in maintaining your health care and trying to prevent some disease, okay? Let's start off with a little bit of statistics, all right? The average life expectancy of a man born in 2016 is 79 years and 8 months. A man who is 65 in 2018 can expect to live to be 84. And a man who is 75 in 2018 can expect to live to 86. Now, when you look at Black men, you got to subtract 7 years off of that because we live about 7 years less than other men when we compare to other groups, okay? Question to you guys, true or false? Women are more likely to visit the doctor for annual examinations and preventative services than men.
True.
True.
All right,
True.
yeah, I agree with you, true. Men are 24% less likely than women to have visited a doctor within the past year. We're 22% more likely to have neglected our cholesterol tests. We're 32% more likely than women to be hospitalized for long-term complications of diabetes. We're 24% more likely than women to be hospitalized for pneumonia that could have been prevented by just getting a vaccine. Okay, so you definitely get your vaccinations. Now, regarding Black men, we're 44% of us are considered overweight. About 37% are considered to be obese. Hey, I was right up in there. But the national average is somewhere around 30%. But we do have the highest incidence of diabetes and prostate cancer. We're 1.7 more times likely to have diabetes than Caucasians. And we're more likely to develop prostate cancer than white men, but 2.4 times more likely to die from it. So those are just some different things that I just kind of want to put in your head as we go through our talk that you can kind of highlight on, that you can kind of get from our talk. Because a lot of these things I'm going to go over today, you know, we can't prevent everything in life. There's definitely stuff that's going to pop up in our life that's due to genetics, chance, environmental exposures, but there's some other things that we can try to control. The last thing I want to talk about is, you know, don't forget that African Americans is not talked about much. I think Mike talked about a little bit in his talk in his podcast. African Americans there's also a high suicide rate, right? So it's the third leading cause of death in African Americans and 15 to 24-year-olds. So, you know, we definitely have to talk about mental health in our population, you know, our men or women and things of that nature. Question for you guys now. What do you think are the top 3 leading causes of death for men?
Heart disease, cancer,
Diabetes.
gunshot wounds.
Gunshot wound.
Oh, no, well, gunshot wounds is close. So top 3 would be heart disease, cancer, and accidents. Okay, so unintentional injuries. So that would be the top 3. And in women, you know, since a lot of us have wives, girlfriends, mothers, daughters, things of that nature, you know, women, you know, I don't want to forget them. So the top 3 in them are going to be, you know, those are the top 3 for everybody. But when we're talking about men and women specifically, you know, for women, we're talking about breast, lung, and colon, rectal cancer when it comes to cancer. Okay. Mm-hmm. And then for men, you got to think lung, prostate, colon cancer. Okay. So just always keep those things on your mind.
You say lung?
Lung cancer. Yeah. Lung cancer is one of the top cancers for both men and women.
Is that for just smokers and non-smokers alike?
Majority smoking is going to be the largest risk factor, but definitely you can still develop lung cancer and don't smoke. Some people believe it's because of secondhand smoke, and other times it could be from environment, you know, work-related hazards as well. Mm-hmm. So just keep that in mind. Now, as far as the top 10, I'm just going to go through the top 10, but we're specifically probably going to talk about what I consider probably the top 3, the 4 things that really are pertinent to us. Top 10 leading causes of death. Things to remember: heart disease, cancer we touched on. I'll go into specifically the types, but it's lung, prostate, and colon cancer for men, breast, lung, colon cancer for women, accidents, chronic obstructive pulmonary disease. So you're smokers, right? Chronic bronchitis, emphysema. And then for African Americans on that top 4, homicide. All right, that's about 5%. Number 5 is stroke. Number 6 is diabetes. Number 7 influenza. So your pneumonias, influenza, bacterial pneumonia, COVID pneumonia. That's number 7. 8, suicide. 9, kidney disease and related complications of kidney disease. And then bringing up 10 would be Alzheimer's, dementia. And for African Americans, 10 is probably like high blood pressure, okay? Hypertension is in there and its related causes, not just itself, but its related causes can lead to death.
And you didn't mention a liver disease.
Liver disease, yeah, no, I didn't mention. There you go, I like that. No, I didn't mention liver disease because liver disease is there, but it's definitely not necessarily one of the common causes we see. I mean, liver disease is common as far as it's there. It's just not one of the common causes of death. You see it, you might be aware of it, you may know somebody that has it, and that may be because of the frequency of hepatitis C in the population. It might be those patients who drink too much alcohol and develop cirrhosis, but usually liver disease is lower on the list.
Okay.
So out of that top 10, I know I can't talk about all of those in detail, so I'm just going to pinpoint down, the 3 or 4 main ones that I think is important to us as men and as us as Black men. First, I want to talk about heart disease. Okay. Question to you guys. Can anybody tell me what heart disease is in their own words? Do you have an idea of what, when somebody says heart disease, you're thinking what?
Weakening out arteries, I guess. You got all that gook and shit, the gook in your arteries, it hardens them and weakens them and, makes you susceptible to having one of them joints pop.
Makes it hard for the blood to circulate. And
Exactly. And heart disease, cerebral vascular disease, where we're talking about the brain, and peripheral vascular disease all kind of share some of the same common themes. A lot of times what happens is you can get narrow in those arteries and decreased blood flow to any one of those things. Decrease of blood flow to the heart can put you at risk for heart attack. Okay, complete blood flow blockage to the heart can cause a heart attack. All right. Same thing with the brain. You lose blood flow to the brain, you're going to have a stroke. Okay, and there's many different ways that can happen. Or you lose blood flow to your extremities, like in patients who have diabetes for a long period of time. You can lose blood flow to your toes, your feet, your legs, and things of that nature. So that's kind of what briefly heart disease is. They're all kind of similar the same. So if you have a blockage of your blood vessel in your heart and it completely blocks, you have a heart attack. If it's narrow and you're exercising, you develop chest pain. Basically what's happening is that you're exercising so much that there's decreased blood flow because your heart vessel is not open enough. And because of that, your heart's saying, hey, I need more blood flow. You're not giving enough blood flow, so you're going to cause symptoms, okay?
What about irregular heartbeats?
Irregular heartbeats itself? Yeah, so irregular heartbeats in itself can happen. There's many different causes of irregular heartbeats. Mm-hmm. I think there's sometimes, as a physician, we get worried when patients have irregular heartbeats without necessarily a reason or a rationale. So a lot of times we'll start screening patients for heart disease because a mild heart attack, unknown or a silent heart attack, can lead to irregular heartbeats. Mm-hmm. Okay, or some other forms of heart disease, like an enlarged heart, can cause irregular heartbeats to occur, and it's good to kind of figure out which type of heartbeat it is.
You say unknown heart attack?
Say that again?
Did you say an unknown heart attack?
Unknown heart attack, yeah. I call them kind of like a silent heart attack. So a patient, for example, you may have had some chest pain you blew off the other day as being heartburn. You didn't do anything about it. You just kind of tolerated, you stayed at home, you toughed it out, symptoms eventually went away, and you somewhat felt better. But then you came in the hospital 3 or 4 days later, feeling short of breath, not being able to climb up the steps. And then when they do that workup, they realize that, oh, you have decreased heart function. Then they go back and start looking at your heart and realize that, oh, you had a heart attack before in the past. So sometimes,
wow.
Yeah, so sometimes that can happen, so it's not necessarily silent. It's just that in some cases, patients have ignored that symptom.
Yeah, because I had my chest pain scare. I went to the hospital and, the lady told me like they could when they draw your blood, they can tell if you got any kind of heart distress going on.
Correct. Right. They can. If you have heart injury, they can kind of detect that. If you don't have any active injury at that time, but you have some risk factors for heart disease, then they could probably send you to a cardiologist and kind of, work you up from that standpoint to see what your risk factors are.
But then the next morning, boy,
Yeah.
They kept me overnight, right? Because you say heart, chest pain, you go in, well, I got to keep you overnight. I've had some of the best sleep ever had in my life, actually. And they were like, we got to do a stress test. They took me to the stress test.
Yep.
That shit almost gave me a heart attack.
Yeah.
I ain't never had to run like that. I had to run like that when I played football. You know what I'm saying?
So real, just to bring us back a little bit, we have two Morehouse brothers, man, and I'm not mentioning their names for privacy issues, but recently that we all know, or not, we all may not know, but at least 2 or 3 out on this call know, who just had triple bypass surgery. And I know, Tom, you may know this, but what is the causes for having to have triple bypass?
Well, usually for triple bypass, what ends up happening is that usually the amount of arteries that are blocked in the heart are usually either too many to put a stent in to open them up, and therefore patients aren't necessarily deemed a candidate for angioplasty. Angioplasty is where they put a catheter and a balloon into the heart and go down to that narrowed artery and open it up again. Or if it's a closed artery that clotted off, they can pass a wire through there and balloon it open again and allow blood to flow to that section of the heart again. And sometimes they put a little stent in there. So depending on the certain criteria that you use, if you have more than 1 or 2 blood vessels or 2 different big blood vessels where you have disease in your heart, a lot of times they'll recommend a patient to have a bypass rather than doing the stenting.
Okay.
Hey Tom, on this subject of heart disease, it's interesting because I guess it's not a secret that has plagued our community, right, on a whole.
Right.
So we know that. What would be the suggested offset to that? Like, what could someone do to either prevent heart disease, or if they are in some kind of moderate stage of heart disease, try to correct or reverse it?
Okay. All right. Perfect. Yeah. Actually, that's right on point. So there's several risk factors that we can change, and there's several risk factors that we cannot change. So I tend not to worry about the stuff that we cannot change because, we can't change it. But the stuff that we can change, put all our efforts in those arenas and try to at least knock off several of those risk factors. You may not be able to knock off all of them, but if you can knock off 7 out of 8, that's good. 6 out of 8 is good. So what are some of those risk factors that cannot be changed? Your age, right? We all get old. Your age, family history. If you have a family history of heart disease, your mother, your father had a heart attack, age 40 and under, age 50 and under. That's a risk factor right there. You should be somebody I would send to the cardiologist right away saying, hey, you need to get screened early. If you already had a heart attack or a stroke, or you have a history of peripheral artery disease, you're at a high risk. And then just us being men, we have a higher risk more so than females. Okay. Now, what can we change, right? So there are certain things we can change and improve on. High blood pressure, right? That's the risk factor we can change to some degree. All right. There's some people that can look like fit and they still have high blood pressure. There's some genetic variations there, right?
Yeah.
That part, you just can't fit that's going to be a gene thing. High cholesterol, hyperlipidemia, for the most part, that we can control unless you have the genetic version where you're just genetically predetermined to have high cholesterol and things of that nature. And you're going to be somebody who's going to be put on medications. But again, as I go through these risk factors, remind you, even though you have high blood pressure, that's not the big deal. The big deal is if you have high blood pressure, is it controlled? Right? So keep that in mind. It's not a big deal if you have high cholesterol, if it's controlled, right? Smoking, diabetes, being overweight, there you go, you're on it. Those people don't exercise enough or excessive alcohol use, so those are some risk factors that we can work on. All right.
Tom,
Yes, indeed.
excessive. That's kind of subjective. What's deemed excessive?
Y'all stop pointing at me, man. Hey, wait, look here. I'm on ginger ale today, brother.
Well, there you go. But there's other people that feel like that, having a glass of wine every night, is good for you, so, and then there's our observation that we see with a lot of our patients who are alcoholics. A lot of those patients really don't have heart disease. We really don't see it. They die of other issues though. So I don't advise
It's
that.
not heart disease.
Right.
Wow.
It's not heart disease. You know,
I did not know alcohol cures heart disease. Is that what you just said, Doc?
No, I didn't say
No, I'm
that.
joking.
So
No,
wait,
no,
so
it is,
you know,
it's a joke.
the occasional one glass of wine or the occasional like 22 beers, right?
Right. Well, I don't know about the 22. 2 beers. You know, 2 beers.
Oh, it's 2, not 22.
Yeah. Most physicians, you know,
Okay.
we kind of characterize alcohol as far as grams of alcohol. So we usually kind of say 1 shot is equal to 4 ounces of wine, which is equal to 1 8-ounce beer, which is that's all pretty much has about the same amount of alcohol in it. So that's just alcohol. But
Now I'm good. I had that 2 and 22 confused all this time, bro. I appreciate that.
Good. So look, so as we enter this gray area in life, you know, I always kind of have 40 is the gray area, the life where, you know, you're young enough where things shouldn't happen, but it can happen. You know, always kind of consider that the 40s, and it kind of freaks me out a little bit, but it is what it is, you know. So just going forward in life, you know, what are some of those symptoms of stroke symptoms and heart disease you need to be aware about, right? Because it's all about you when you're working out and exercising. You know, you can get short of breath, but you shouldn't be short of breath if you climb like a flight of steps and you got to stop halfway going up. You know, there's something wrong with that, right? Chest pain, sweating profusely when you're having that chest pain, nausea, vomiting, chest pain, any of those prior symptoms that you're having with exertion. You know, you're taking a suitcase out of the car, you're walking into the hotel, and you have to stop halfway across the parking lot because you feel short of breath or you feel that like discomfort in your chest. Yeah, that's like a warning sign. So definitely, you know, let somebody know. And then as far as, you know, since we're talking about heart disease, I always like to throw something in there real quick about stroke, because stroke is that other emergency type of thing that everybody needs to know about. Because if you can get to hospital soon enough, they can actually give you some medication and some treatments to reverse the stroke. Okay, so acute weakness on one side of your body, you all suddenly start slurring your speech and you haven't been drinking for the night, you know, that's a warning sign. You know, vision loss, that's going to be some things there. Okay.
Let me, since you mentioned stroke, so you said that what type of feeling if you get like a numbness? I get this feeling sometimes. I cycle, and sometimes when I'm done cycling, I get a numbness feeling on the left side, sometimes the right side.
Right.
But it's not for a long time. It's just for a short period of time.
Right. So for example, so for you, I think if it was right after you were cycling, then I would probably tie it into your cycling and whatever your body position is on the bike. It's probably
Were you going north or were you going south?
I mean, I mentioned it to my doctor. He was just telling me that he said that it's the position of the bike, or he asked me what size bike, and I got all those adjusted. I still get it sometimes. I think it was just he just said that, you know. Then I told him how many miles I might ride. He said, "Man, you might need to shorten up your miles, you know, because I get out there and I go out there and I start riding."
Right. 100 miles and everything, right?
Yeah, he just told me to shorten them up. He said,
No, yeah, I agree. I mean, I think when you're in a bike, you're at a certain position and you're probably compressing some nerves either in your legs or you're sitting a certain way. And a lot of times you can get that numbness and tingling that can occur, and eventually it goes away. And if it's like that associated with exercise, that doesn't necessarily raise a red flag, an alarm symptom for me, rather than you saying you just got out your car and you're walking back inside the house and all of a sudden you just feel all this numbness and tingling out of the blue, and you're not doing anything. You know, that's a little bit more concerning. You want to be able to explain that.
Hey Tom, you mentioned something earlier, and I'm asking it because I know we all. Well, I'm gonna say me, for instance. You know, as men, we think, hey, well, I felt that, but like you said, I'm gonna tough this out, or it wasn't as bad as I thought. So, like earlier when you mentioned like a chest pain or discomfort, and you know, like what can you kind of describe what that would feel like if it's just like, well, I pulled a muscle chest pain, or I'm having a heart attack chest pain, or is it cramping in my heart, or you know what I'm saying, or the discomfort, like can you describe it, I guess is what I'm trying to get at, because I know for me, I could feel something, be like, oh man, ain't nothing. And like I said, I just go on, but shoot, it could be something. You know what I mean?
Right. No, it's true. The best way I can kind of put it in terms would be if it's what I listen for when people come into the office, or if I pick it up, is can that symptom that you're complaining about be reproduced or not, right? So if you're thinking about it's a muscle injury or a strain, in theory, we should be able to sit there and reproduce that in the office, right? So if you've been lifting weights and bench pressing and your chest is sore and you keep pointing to the same spot, then I should be at least be able to maneuver your chest and be able to kind of push in that one area to reproduce that type of pain. And if I can't, then I kind of get worried because you are doing something stressful. I can't reproduce it, but it only happens when you exercise, you know? So that's kind of one of those red flags that kind of pops up in mind. And then it's just a matter of going through some of those risk factors I named earlier, right? You know, are you somebody who's overweight? Do you smoke? Do you have a family history of heart disease? In the back of my mind, as we're sitting there talking, I'm going through that list. And the more I check off, the more I'm probably going to reroute you either back to your primary care doctor, or I'm going to say, hey, look, you need to take an aspirin every day and go see your cardiologist, or, you know, let's get you plugged in with somebody and make sure your heart's okay. Because it does happen, you know. Yeah, it does happen. So you just want to make sure that you can at least explain the symptoms. Heartburn is tricky because heartburn, for the most part, you know, it sent me to a cardiologist. You know, I had heartburn, typical. I treat heartburn every day, but I felt something funny. It was different. And I just never felt that feeling before for heartburn. And I kind of got, you know, I felt like I'm in the 40s. You know, you're in that gray area in life. You're in theory healthy, but things happen. So I went and I ended up getting this workup and stuff like that. It ended up being fine. But I just realized that that was a different manifestation of my heartburn. And then after that, I just stopped drinking coffee so much because I realized I'm in my 40s. I don't need that anxiety throughout the day. You know, I walk down the hallway thinking I'm going to have a heart attack in the middle of the day. So I just back away from that. So those are some of the things that you just got to be able to explain. So if you have heartburn one night and you're taking Maalox, Mylanta, Tums, and it's not going away and you can't get restful sleep at night and you have several of those risk factors and you start breaking out in the sweat, then I say go to the ER, you know, have them sorted out, do EKG, make sure everything is okay.
You know what I thought about, man?
I got a question.
Real quick, Cool. I got to say something relevant to what you just said. Real quick, Cool. Okay. You know, the thing about it is when you got insurance, right?
Yeah.
And you got some kind of chest pain or anything that's bothering you, what kind of fool would ignore the signs and just be like, I'm gonna be all right? Man, shit. All this money I paid to get a private room at the hospital, all of that, I'm gonna get checked in, bro. You know what I'm saying?
Say it again, Colby. Say it one more time.
There's no need of going home if something's going on. Go to the doctor, go to the hospital. You know what I'm saying? Because you hear stories all the time about people that say, well, yeah, we're at the grocery store and it said his chest is hurting and we came home, we laid down and died.
Yeah.
Not the kid. Go ahead, Cool, my bad.
Chelsea, that is an alert. If you feel bad as a black man, go to the doctor, go to the hospital. Alert, alert, alert.
Correct.
But this is my question. So first of all, thank you for being here, brother, man. It's a pleasure. We definitely appreciate it. And you put down those things about how these things affect black men. What can we do? I'm a guy to try to work out, try to eat right. So to kind of give us some things we can do that we can control to help us, you know, mitigate some of those risks of the heart disease and things of that nature. What can we do?
Oh, what can we do? Okay. All right. Well, you know, that kind of goes,
you know, I gotta live a long time, looking good. More house in the building. Come on now. We gotta live, baby.
All right,
Let me live.
All right. So
luxurious beard, you know what I'm saying?
Well, hey, you know, but that's my goal. My goal is to give you guys some knowledge. So at least as you go through, you can work off on some of those risk factors that you have out there. So I'm going to jump ahead and give you some of these tips and see if we could tie it to the diseases that I kind of discussed, right? So I'm going to see if you guys can match what I'm saying as far as what you can do to which disease we threw out there. All right.
Let's do it.
And then we'll wrap things up with colon cancer and prostate cancer, because those are two big ones on the list. All right. So being active, controlling your cholesterol, eating better, managing your blood pressure, losing weight, and reducing your blood sugar. They all help prevent what? What diseases?
Diabetes.
Heart disease.
Heart disease, diabetes, correct? Right? Heart disease, diabetes, stroke. Okay.
So I say all of them, really.
Exactly. A lot of them, right? A lot of them you just knock right out the ballpark if you can kind of do those. All right. What about stopping smoking? There's more than one answer for that. You know, you got the obvious one.
Heart disease.
Obviously lung cancer.
Obviously lung cancer.
Yeah.
Heart disease.
Heart disease.
Right. Definitely heart disease, stroke, as well. Okay, so the tidbits, you know, so usually like when you smoke, some people say your heart vessels are supposed to be nice and open, but when you smoke a cigarette, for the next 30 minutes after you smoke a cigarette, your blood vessels collapse down like this and become all tight, right? So
I got a question. Now I'm not a weed smoker, so I'm just asking just for the general population.
Yeah.
What about weed?
I was
In terms of like
that.
weed smoke versus cigarette smoke?
Yeah. Well, you know what? I'm not sure there's enough data out there, yet to kind of know what are these patients who smoke weed, say every day for the next 10 years, what are their risks of developing lung cancer to the average population? I think a lot of that lung cancer data has always been extrapolated from patients who smoke like tobacco, right? Just like lips and tongue cancers related to chewing tobacco and things. So I really don't know.
Well, I had heard back in the day, somebody was saying like the reason why people were using blunts versus like zigzags and roller papers was because it was the paper and the freeze-dried tobacco that was causing the lung cancer issues, not the actual tobacco leaf or like the marijuana leaf. And that's why, it's better to smoke blunts with tobacco or whatever. But that was all like, that was like urban legend. That's just what people were saying. I didn't see anything scientific about that. But you don't really see the same, it doesn't seem like you see the same correlation of lung cancer with weed, chronic weed smokers, because we all know some.
Right.
Versus, those people that are smoking 10 packs a day. And I'm not even sure what the equivalence is. 10 packs a day is like a sack, like a 20 sack. I'm not sure what the mathematical correlation is.
Right, correct. Yeah. And to be honest with you, I probably think we probably won't see that probably for the next 20 years. So as those chronic weed smokers get older, we'll start to see what those risk factors are, right? Because a lot of those patients that we're seeing with lung cancer today, those are the ones that have been smoking, 40s, 50s, 60s. All the way until now. So I think we'll see that with marijuana, just like we're seeing increasing patients with GI symptoms because of marijuana. I never thought that I'd be seeing patients in my office and their diagnosis is they smoke too much marijuana. They come in with nausea, vomiting, abdominal pain, and they keep coming in with nausea, vomiting, abdominal pain, and come to realize they smoke marijuana. So now you have this subset of patients where they're young, they're in their 20s, they're in your office with nausea and vomiting all the time. You rule out several other things and you realize, hey, these guys smoke weed every day. So
Tom, could you address this too? A lot of guys, play golf with, things of that nature. They think cigars are a little different than cigarettes. Could you address that as well? In the form of smoking cigars on a daily basis?
On a daily basis, I know. I mean, I still think the same things. I mean, I like a cigar myself every now and then, but the reality of it is I do know that does increase your risk. That can definitely increase your risk for tongue cancer, lip cancer, cancer within your mouth, throat and neck cancer. Depending on if you inhale, of course, anything that you inhale is going to increase your risk some more.
Right.
But again, it's one of those things that if you can minimize, great. If you can avoid them, probably even better.
But you had mentioned you had patients, or you've heard of patients come in that smoke a lot of weed and they complained about the dizziness or being nauseous or something.
Nauseous, yeah, nausea, vomiting.
The medicinal, what is that? Medicinal weed that is prescribed to you.
Yeah, I mean, those patients you really don't see. Well, those patients who are using it occasionally, you don't see them in the office. It's usually those ones that tend to do it daily. Those tend to be the ones that end up having GI symptoms that we actually will end up seeing in the office. I can't think of any patient that I've seen who may smoke weed once or twice a month where they're coming to the office with a GI complaint that I actually picked that up per se.
What's it doing to the GI tract? What's it doing to the GI tract? What's the issue?
Yeah, I'm not sure everybody knows. I think it's more or less like a central mediated effect, more so than anything else like that. I think it's a brain gut response that's kind of occurring, with that. But no, not necessarily a direct GI effect.
Yeah. Hey, Tom, you mentioned earlier, one of the things about what we can control, and one of those things was diet, right? And exercise.
Correct.
As it pertains specifically to diet, one thing you always hear, whether we're talking about these types of diseases or not, the importance of drinking water. How important is it to consume water daily for flushing your system to keeping things on track to just your overall health? Like in terms of water, what, can you speak to that benefit in terms of the health and diet regime that you need?
Right. Yeah, no, I think overall drinking water has definitely several benefits, but I haven't necessarily seen any studies that say that you need 64 ounces a day or 8 glasses 5 times a day. To be honest with you, I'm kind of very rational when it comes to stuff because you'll see a lot of different things in a book. But the reality of it is that the way I kind of decide for myself if it's healthy is that, one, does it decrease any health problems that you have? Is it going to help decrease prevention or prevent something? Or 3, is going to increase your life? And that can hold true for anything, vitamins and things that nature. So, you really have to look at that data and kind of see if it helps, but definitely trying to drinking more water would definitely allow you to kind of, you feel fuller more, things that nature.
And hold on, you said in the book, you talking about your own book?
Huh?
No, he's just saying in general.
Okay.
I'm like, whoa, do we miss a plug? Wait.
In general. No.
Yeah.
In general.
Yeah.
So, let's see what I want to ask you guys. All right. So here, a few more health tips for you guys, right? Let's see. What to get a PSA test? We haven't touched on this yet. Anybody know what a PSA test is and what important?
Prostate cancer.
There you go. So make sure you get that for prostate cancer. Let's see what else we got.
There are different forms of that test, though, right, Tom? Like you could actually go, I guess, get the in-office finger, exam. There's a blood test to that, right? And then isn't there like a fecal test or something like that?
Well, there is. Well, there yes and no. So not for the prostate. So sometimes people kind of confuse them. So I'll clear it up for you guys real quick. So question for you, not to answer your question. I'm going to answer it, but I want to throw it back to the audience, to you guys. Where is your prostate? Do you guys know where it is?
Yeah.
Right, because it's kind of that thing that we hear about, but you really don't know where it is.
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
exactly.
What I was going
through. KB knows where it is.
Exactly. I know, but I didn't know exactly where it was.
Had to hit you up in the gut. Just get back.
Excuse me, sir. I have had my prostate exam. Thank you.
By whom?
So check this out.
Physician shit.
Trannies don't count.
I know, right?
You gotta get that way.
It's a small gland about the size of a walnut, and it's sandwiched between your bladder and your rectum, and it surrounds your urethra, right? So your urethra is that long tube that comes down from your bladder that goes to the tip of your penis. It allows you to pee, right? Urine, urethra. So the two things that go wrong with the prostate that we all got to take away from today is that, hey, you can get an enlarged prostate and you can get prostate cancer. Those are two things that are probably going to affect every one of us at some point in time if we live long enough, right? So what are some of the symptoms of enlarged prostate? You may have heard some people, your family members may have talked about this, urinating more often, feeling like you have to pee urgently, or feel like you might have to pee on yourself if you don't go to the bathroom. You got to strain to pee, okay? Or when you pee, you start to dribble, right? You're like, hey, what's going on with that? Those are all symptoms of having an enlarged prostate, okay? And the treatment would be shrinking your prostate gland with medications or surgery itself, okay? And then now the big one is prostate cancer, okay? What's prostate cancer about? Well, we got to know about it because 1 in 6 men in the U.S. will be diagnosed with prostate cancer in their lifetime, right? So one of us sitting in here is going to be diagnosed with prostate cancer if we live long enough, all right? It's the second leading cause of death in cancers regarding men. African Americans have the highest rate of prostate cancer in the world. We're 50% more likely to develop it compared to white men, and we're 2.4 times more likely to die from it. But with early detection, you got 98% survival rates, okay? So remember, early detection is basically, you want to get the screening done before you have symptoms, and that's always going to be key. So what age do we screen for prostate cancer? For our age group, it's 45. All right. So your doctor should be doing a PSA on you guys every year, and they should be doing a rectal exam. A rectal exam, I do them, but the reality of it is, you know, the PSA is going to be the most important part. Okay, because you can imagine 10 doctors doing a rectal exam, trying to determine the shape and the size of the prostate. Everybody's going to have a different opinion. And then for other populations, it's age 50. Okay.
Yeah, on my last physical, I go in there and you know, I was like, it was getting toward the end, and I was like, hey, you know, I'm 48. I washed up and shit really good today. You know, are we supposed to do the, you know? Right. She's like, nah, dude, all we do now is blood tests. You all set. I'm like, oh, bet, cool.
Right. Right. Because that's going to be the most like.
I told her, I was like, man, I washed up extra and shit. I made sure I was cool for you today.
Made sure you were clean. And you bought the wipes and everything.
Yeah.
I figured they was gonna have the wipes, but I definitely made sure my ass was extra clean. You know what I'm saying? But she didn't go nowhere near it. I was like, all right, bet you good.
Tom.
Nah, yeah. I don't blame you.
Tom, so
see, that's why I got a female Dr. Thompson there with them damn meat hooks and shit going in somebody's ass. I was like, nah, bro.
Well, you know, some folks, bro, when they see the size of my fingers, you know.
Look at big fingers too.
Cool on that, bro.
God damn. Wow. What is it about, or is it just genetics why blacks have a higher incidence of prostate cancer? Or is it something in the environment? What is it?
Well, I think genes have some role to play in it, but to be honest with you, I think it's just regular, screening and surveillance. I think genetics play a role in it. I think the reason why most people maybe die for it, or at least African Americans present later with what I call a little bit more extensive disease, is because we put stuff off, you know. So I think
we don't go to the doctor.
Right, exactly.
And definitely don't want to put in our ass for sure.
Right, you know, that right there's a big deterrent, you know. But I think if you can get people into the doctor sooner, you can get your screening test for blood pressure, cholesterol, and things of that nature, and get those things addressed, you know. So I think that's the main thing, just getting people to come in. I mean, I definitely, you know, I see it with colon cancer all the time. I think, you know, I work at 2 different offices, and one office, you know, you can kind of see the difference as far as people are coming in later for their screening colonoscopies at one office. They're coming in on time at the other office. The ones that are coming in later have more advanced disease, more colon polyps. I've seen to diagnose more colon cancer at that office. At the other office, people are coming in, their colons look good, may have a few polyps.
So basically what you're saying, one office is in Baltimore City, the other one is in Howard County somewhere.
There you go.
Again, right. Another alert. Go to the doctor. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? My thing is,
get your ass checked out.
Say it again, Colby. Say it again. That's so important.
Get your ass
checked out.
Because I think all this data is kind of screwed a little bit. I mean, skewed because we're going to doctors later, right? And then we got these big numbers of African American men, you know, with these disease, because you know, because a previous generation hate to go to the doctor, but we have to be the guys get to the doctor so we get these numbers in line, because I really believe this genetics that we have, you know, extremely strong. Let's get to the doctor.
Yeah, dude, my pops didn't go get his colonoscopy for a long time. You know, he had a fucking tumor. He had a tumor. It was non-cancerous, but they had to cut it out. He had to wear a bag for like 6 months. That history made me get my first colonoscopy at 45. I go in, they go and find a couple polyps, pop them shits out. They were non-cancerous. They woke me up. It was like, yeah, you had a couple polyps. We got them. You know, looked all good. You good to go and see in 5 years. You know what I'm saying? So I got my next in January.
I was going to ask that, Tom, along the point of what Carl was just saying about the colonoscopy. Like we talked about the prostate test, but when should one start with that whole colonoscopy exam? Because I never had one. I've had the prostate exam thing, but I've never had a colonoscopy.
Okay, well then here you go. So
great question.
I'm gonna go see him tomorrow. Tomorrow,
that's my field. So you know, I'm definitely passionate about colon cancer.
I've seen Tom twice.
Right.
I started at 40.
Really?
Yeah, straight up.
Because your mom, yeah.
So
your mom,
yeah. Yeah. So in 2020, you know, a lot of us have seen what happened with Chadwick Boseman and things of that nature. You know, passed away of colon cancer at the age of 43. Now, with him, unfortunately, he was diagnosed with colon cancer at a very young age and had advanced disease, which had a low cure rate. And the screening guidelines that we have wouldn't have really caught him because of his young age.
Mm-hmm.
So with him, he probably had some symptoms that he brought to somebody's attention, and then he was probably had some workup and then was diagnosed that way. Now, for us, what age should you be having a colonoscopy, right? So it's the age 45. So for African Americans, should be 45. For most other groups, until recently, it was advised to have it done at 50, but recent guidelines came out to even lower for other groups down to 45. So 45, and you haven't had a colonoscopy, go ahead and go get one done. If you're afraid to get a colonoscopy, there are some other alternatives that you can do, and I'll go through those as well. But keep in mind, colon cancer is the second leading cause of death in the U.S. One out of every 20 of Americans will get colon cancer. The death rates are 50% higher for African Americans than whites. And the largest group that's growing nowadays, which is the reason why they kind of dropped that age down, is those 55 and under. So the new guidelines are say to start at 45. But most of the patients that we diagnose are probably greater than 50 years of age.
And that was just recently changing it to 45, right?
45 for other groups. For African Americans, the data's been out for a few years that African Americans kind of fall in a high risk population group. So for my personal practice, for the last 5 years, I've always been kind of 5 or more years, I've been encouraging my African American patients to get screened earlier. But I can't say that all the physicians were doing that, because I had several physicians, and even including my wife's physician, said that no, she's at average risk, she could wait till 50, and he convinced her to wait till 50. So she's finally getting one. I think, hers is tomorrow. She's getting one tomorrow. But I went ahead and got mine at 45 because I knew that data and things.
I was planning on getting one this year for my physical this year. I'm getting one this year.
I'd say, Chuck, you missed a happy physical day. I'm surprised you ain't got your shit done already.
Nah, because I didn't know that information, and then I read it in an article. You were supposed to get it at 45. Then I had planned on getting it, and I'm on top of that prostate, like Kwesi said, but I'm definitely getting it this year, because I always thought it was 50. You get the colon.
Right, and it has been, and I kind of blame that on the medical community a little bit for not really putting it out there, and I think that's where you kind of see that discrepancy when it comes down to minorities in health, as far as certain things not being pushed in African Americans as it would be in other groups. Getting your vaccines and getting your other stuff done. So I mean, you really got to push that 45 to everybody and tell your family members and friends, and then try to get people to get over that stigmata. I mean, that's why I always tell patients, if I talk about colonoscopy and their eyes get all big and they look like they're afraid of it, I back off of it in that first meeting in the office. I actually back away from it and say, hey, look, there's some other non-invasive ways that you can still get screened. There's a stool test that you can do. That's one of the things, Kwesi, you were referring to. There's a stool test you can do called a stool fit test. You can do that every year that looks for blood in your stool. Or you can do this stool Cologuard test. You may have seen a commercial on TV about the guy, the little box that comes to the man. Yeah, exactly. So you can do that as well. All those are good tests for screening. So as long as you're getting one of those tests done, we should be able to catch colon cancer at an early stage.
Well, that's good to know, because like I said, I never had a colonoscopy before, but I have done that in, dropping the male fecal test.
Yeah.
So I've done that the last 2 years, and the results were negative. So, so you're saying that is a good alternative, right? Sure. But it's still good to get a colonoscopy for overall.
Yeah. Let me ask a question. Let me ask a question relevant to that. Like that test will determine if you got precancerous cells or precancerous tissue that comes out in your fecal matter, right? But if you got polyps, but if you got polyps that are babies that they could have knocked out in your colonoscopy, that fecal test doesn't catch those, and those could continue to grow, right?
Correct. Yeah, most of those stool tests are used. So there's 2 stool tests. One detects just blood in your stool, and the other one will detect blood and DNA that may suggest that you have polyps in your colon. But again, most of those studies are done to detect polyps that are of a grade of a certain size, and it could detect cancer. So it depends on your thoughts. My thought is the whole idea would be to try to remove polyps before it turns into the cancer, rather than finding a test that detects cancer. It's great that you found it, but I'd rather have you check me out and prevent cancer from taking place. And I have a good example of that, not from that test, but I had a guy who had a colonoscopy last week. and he just had a large colon polyp that actually had cancer within it. You know, so I was able to remove the polyp, removed it, sent it to the lab, and the lab came back saying it had some cancer within the polyp. So for him, he came in at the right time to have it done. So if he would have waited another year or two, that probably would have been cancer, and he would have been looking at surgery to remove that section of his colon. So now we know that he has polyps. He had he had a cancerous polyp that we removed. He's cancer-free, and now he just comes back and he just has to get his colonoscopy at certain intervals, and then he should be okay.
Yeah, that ain't shit to it, man. They put you to sleep, you don't even know they're in your ass. I think I kind of farted and shat on the table a little bit, but it's like, hey,
you literally, one minute you're awake, the next minute you're like giving your walking papers to leave.
Pretty much. That's what my experience was. I tried to stay awake, but I don't remember anything. I remember the guy.
I don't ever. I try to stay awake.
I laughed a little bit, and I was out. Next thing you know, somebody is offering me some apple juice. You know.
Yeah, that's how it was with me when I saw you. Yeah. When your boy did one for me. Yeah. Then I woke up and Tom was fucking cheesing all up in my face.
Tom actually did it. Tom actually did it.
I just ain't tell Jay that yet. I ain't tell him yet. I've been saving that one in the
Thirsty.
Here's some apple juice, Jay.
hey. So let me ask you all this, because again, I never had it, and I hear you all. I've heard this term.
Quasi, got to get that done, brother.
I appreciate it. I'm gonna look into that and talk to my doctor about it. When you all refer to polyps, does that put any pressure on anything? Like, let's say, like you said, there's a polyp that's non-cancerous, right? But does it put any pressure on anything in that area? No. Like, what does that do?
Not unless
if it's putting pressure, it's gonna be a fucking problem. You gonna go get that shit checked out.
Okay.
Pretty much, yeah. Because majority of these polyps that we're finding are patients who don't have any symptoms whatsoever. You know, so most of those precancerous polyps we find, you know, most patients aren't having an issue. You know, the thing about it is that sometimes with colon cancer, which is tough, unless it's in a certain location and it's cancer and it's symptomatic, you know, you're not going to catch it at that early stage. So if somebody's coming to me and they got weight loss, rectal bleeding, change of bowel habits, they're 60 and they never had a colonoscopy ever, if we go in there and find a cancer that explains all that, then I know that cancer is already advanced. You know, they're looking at surgery, they're looking at, you know, some type of other treatment outside of surgery. So the whole goal for prostate cancer, and especially colon cancer, is to try to get in there and catch those things early. Because if you can catch it early at the stage of a polyp and prevent cancer, that's the best case scenario. If you can catch the cancer before it's spread through the colon where you require surgery, that's another best scenario. You just want to catch it early. Prostate cancer is one of those things as well. You catch prostate cancer early, where they're just doing a biopsy or your PSA is elevated, and you go see a urologist and you're plugged into that system, you're not going to die from that prostate cancer. You may have to deal with it just with surveillance and going through life. But if you get something that early because of an elevated PSA, you're going to die from something else other than prostate cancer. Yes. You know, it's just those people that you see that never gone to the doctor. They're 70 years old and they have bone pain or this and that, and come to find out they have prostate cancer that spread, and they haven't, you know, and that's, you know, they haven't been to the doctor in like 20 years or 30 years.
Now, the syphilis might kill you if you don't get them bumps checked out, but the prostate cancer ain't gonna do it to you.
Pretty much, yeah, right. Have to get it all checked out. Bums and that. Oh, and then with that, the last one would be testicular cancer. We're out of that age group for the most part. It affects usually ages 15 to 39, but we're on the tail end of that. Yeah. So testicular cancer, any lumps, any swelling or any pain that you can't explain, you know, that you got to bring up to somebody as well. Okay. Those are just self-exams that you can kind of do. You can ask your friend to do it, your female friend to do it.
Hey dog, you take my shit out, man. I
got a little question.
Hold on, wait, one second, Chuck. I got one relevant to this real quick. I used to think my doctor was just a freak. I was like, why is he rubbing my nuts like this? The fuck?
Yeah.
Go ahead, Chuck. My bad.
Yeah, it was just a question regarding, you know, because when we get our physical, then we get that report back and they explain that report. And in one of my reports, I had this testosterone level for our age and we're supposed to be in a range.
You were low.
And I was low.
Yeah.
And they had me taking DHEA, which I take.
Yeah.
Take 25 milligrams a day. And then along with vitamin D.
Right.
What are your thoughts about those supplements? Are we going to, as we get older, and to help us with that energy and that desire, are those supplements we're going to have to take more and more supplements, or is it something that we should be concerned with, or just tap out? I don't need to do it no more. Be the old stubborn man. I don't want to do it no more.
Yeah,
be that guy.
I mean, it's really hard to say.
No, KB.
Yeah, no. I mean, there was actually this article that just came out that talked about testosterone and vitamin D. I didn't have a chance to read it, but it kind of went along the lines of, I just kind of skimmed it. They were trying to see if some of those things are actually worthwhile. That some people may feel that we're over-treating the vitamin D. Some people feel like that we may be over-treating the low testosterone. So I think it's really going to probably depend on, are those things actually causing symptoms more so than anything else like that? So if somebody has low libido, things of that nature, is testosterone worthwhile? It may be to some degree, okay? And it's really going to come down to the risk, the side effects and the risk profile. Is it worth, is taking the drug going to, it's really just going to come down to pros and cons. Okay, so if you have a low level, but you just have to keep in mind sometimes numbers are numbers for certain things, and sometimes it's not about necessarily treating the numbers, it's treating you as an individual. So sometimes doctors may see one of your numbers and it's abnormal, and they may decide to follow it. And it's mainly because they might be trying to follow it to see if you're having symptoms because of the low numbers or not. And if you're having symptoms because of the low numbers, or you have certain complaints, then it might be a reason to start you on a drug. Okay.
So to piggyback on that, right? So Tom, I see a lot of these centers coming up, the men fitness center. We want to inject you with testosterone. We can do this, the vitamins, things of that nature. Are those things valid? I mean, is that a scam? Is that real? I mean, is that overkill? I mean, because I'm looking at data points. I mean, a lot of guys signing up for this stuff. Right. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, no. I mean, I think my personal opinion, it's just my personal opinion, is that I think, you got to think that some of those industries, it's $1 billion, industry when it comes to supplements and things of that nature. It's money, and a lot of them don't necessarily have to kind of prove. They don't have any hardcore data behind their supplements, right? So the real thing that you need to ask your physician is taking this going to increase your life, right? Because that's why you would be doing it, right? You either want to be healthier or live longer. And if it's not making you healthier and you're not living longer, then my attitude is, why take it? Right? So most of the medication now, some people will say, hey, well, just taking my high blood pressure medication, should I take it? Well, yeah. Well, if you have high blood pressure and it's uncontrolled, you're at risk for a stroke. I think it's worthwhile for you to be on it, So, but with supplements and vitamin D, I'm kind of more or less hands off on that. I have some patients that are really gung ho on it, but every now and then you have a patient that comes in and they're on like 15 different supplements, and I look at how many supplements are on, and they have nausea, and I'm saying, wait, you take way too much stuff, I mean,
So Doc, I'm gonna go back to my question. So those shots with testosterone shots and things that Chuck talked about, does that stuff work? Is that valid? Is that a scam? I mean, what are your thoughts on that?
I think some of it is probably, depending on who's giving it and where they're giving it. I think it could be necessarily a scam, or somebody's just trying to sell something, right? So for a lot of,
I got an example too. When you finish, Doc, I got an example for you. Cool.
Yeah, no problem. So for a lot of those companies that push those products, you see their advertisements in back of magazines and journals and things of that nature, and you can get it from a health food store, GNC or somewhere like that. Testosterone pills or this and that, they're promoting all this stuff. But again, what you want to do is kind of show them where's the data. So I think what you have to do is kind of have that relationship with your primary care physician and kind of say, hey, would I benefit from like testosterone? Would that be the case?
Right.
Yeah. So like Chuck, I had a low T, on my physicals, I started something, damn. So I did the BioTE injectable.
Mhm.
I went to a urologist. They, boom, you show them the thing, they give it to you. And my shit shot.
Is that where you do the?
Nah. They shot a fucking wafer at the top of my ass. They shot a fucking wafer in me. You know what I'm saying? It was like going
Did it work?
shoot that fucking thing in there. But he got my testosterone level up. But just in terms of like to Tom's point, I didn't feel any different, right? So I didn't feel bad in terms of when they checked my shit. So, and then I didn't notice any change in feeling when I was on that fucking injectable. So I was like, fuck that. I don't need to keep doing that shit. You know what I'm saying? I don't know what my shit is now, but everything is, everything fine. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Hey, I got two questions about the testosterone thing. One, isn't it so that your body is supposed to really develop its own like testosterone and mostly develop it through exercise, right? Like isn't exercise one of those things that help to promote that testosterone hormone and keep it at a certain level?
Well, I mean, yes and no. I mean, yeah, exercise can definitely help with a lot of things, as far as that. But a lot of times, even despite exercise, you can still develop a low testosterone.
Okay. And then the other question I have on the testosterone level is funny what's considered, and I guess it's depending on your doctor or what have you, what's considered an acceptable testosterone level given the range, because I want to say it's something like, I know when I talked to my doctor about it, it was something like 200 or 250. As long as you were in that range. Well, yeah, but I'm saying no, but I'm saying at the minimum, like it was like either 2 or 250. As long as you were there, you were deemed within range of acceptable testosterone. But you certainly want to be, like you just said, Carl, like somewhere in the 850, 900
or some shit.
Yeah, like when you're there, you ain't got no testosterone level. Where if you're at 200, 250, it's like you borderline on the shit. So
right. But issue, yeah. So I think for the age group, I think for 40 to 49-year-olds, I think it's like 250 to like 916 or somewhere like that, as far as that range. But a lot of times when you see that range, you kind of go into that data a little bit, because that's a big range, right?
Yeah, it's huge range.
Somebody at 300 is normal, and somebody at like 800 is normal. And the real question you have is that person clinically any different at 800, or are they any differently at 300? And that's
or does it need a 25 milligram Viagra or 100?
Exactly.
So Tom, speak to that a little bit, because I am in the gym too. I ain't gonna lie to you. So I'm trying to get all the additives to be a great American for the next 50 years.
Right. No. And I do think it's worthwhile. I think if you like decreased desire, fewer spontaneous erections and stuff like that, or you can have some mood swings, so those things can be a reflection of having low testosterone. So, I mean, if you notice those things and you're not depressed and you're kind of moody, that's one of the symptoms, but that's one of those things that when you go to your primary care doctor with, if you're talking to him and he starts checking that off in his head and he checks the testosterone and it's low, then that would be somebody where I would say, okay, then it's reasonable to kind of give that person some replacement therapy,
Yeah.
And
so guys, I've been on it. So full disclosure, I've been on it since June, and it appears to be working very well. So, like you said, I still got more data points to build on. But, I'm very satisfied with the results.
Yeah.
Right.
Hey, go Michael.
As long as they told you what the side effects are, and you're not having any side effects, some patients, it can cause sleep apnea. Sometimes it can increase acne. Some people notice when they start getting testosterone, you start to feel like a teenager again, you get some acne.
No, but for me, it said your penis grows. That was kind of like the side effect.
Yeah. I've been getting I've been doing the testosterone for 5 years now.
The shot. So what you doing?
No, I do the supplement. I take a 25. I take 25 milligrams every benefit.
Day. Wait, are we talking about testosterone or the gas station pill? Which one are y'all talking?
No.
They talking about
Go to the doctor and get the shot.
I go to the doctor and get mine from my doctor.
Yeah.
I buy mine.
So they give you a shot for me. So it depends. Every week, the left cheek, the right cheek.
Yeah.
I give you a shot.
They talked about that little stone. You remember Bam used to talk about that little stone?
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
I'm talking about that little
Black ant, the black ant.
Yeah.
Used
So
to
Chuck
go
on
up to
the Chuck on the cock
black
pills.
ant.
Chuck on the cock pills and Cool on the cock shots.
Yeah, shots. So every week, the right cheek, the left cheek,
Yeah.
switch it up. And I've noticed that the performance is really. I'm able. I feel like I'm 18 again. I ain't gonna lie to you. Like, wow.
Yeah.
So do you do that separate from? Are you only doing testosterone, or are you doing that and something else?
No.
So
Just
great. So I go to the gym, and I've noticed I've got a little stronger in the gym too, right? And so now the dude's like, "Hey man, why?" Because my thing was, I'm gonna go to the gym, I eat what I want to eat, right? Chicken wings. So then probably like 3 weeks ago, like, dude, Lou got me on this. Change your diet. So I was bushing the diet. So then I started changing my diet. So then I started, getting cut up. People like, damn, Cole, man, you looking kind of cool. But then I noticed with the first lady that it was amazing, and she was like, man, god damn, dude, what's going on? What are you doing? That's what you mean.
Yep.
So this was a testosterone pill.
Man, dude, it's a
how
big
often
difference.
you gotta get it?
Shot. He gets it every week.
I take a pill. Cool gets the shot.
Yeah, he does a pill. He does shots, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, hold on.
Yeah.
It's
ladies and gentlemen.
So wait, Chuck,
The
your
Generates by
cock
Chico
busting out your
at
drawers
the
too?
Johnson Man. I'll be right back.
I'm trying to get so that you take.
So wait, hold on,
Chuck.
Chuck, your drawers popping out your drawers too? Your shit busting out your drawers like Cool?
Yeah, and the desire,
Damn.
it's like you got the desire 24/7. Like,
damn.
And it's like right now it's got to be on a schedule right now because I can't, I'm always wanting it, and and I ain't got no problems, and I'm like Koo said, I got cut up, I got stronger, I'm lean, I ride with no problem. I don't have all the aches and pains,
Sound like you're on HGH in this motherfucker.
And then I sleep good. What else? And if you eat right, definitely eat right. That's a good thing.
So I should go in there and fry up this chicken and catfish tonight.
Yeah, I can't condone that, but more power to you, man. I just try to really but I have a vice. I get on chips a lot. I eat a lot of potato chips.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
that's fun. That's kind of what I want to.
Clean majority of the time, I think having a little chips isn't going to, that's not a big thing.
But I want to run by you. All my life, I drank milk and ate cheese and stuff like that, dairy products.
Oh yeah, that's one of the common ones there.
Right now, I can't do them. It's like bad news.
Can I? Yeah.
So
I've been drinking milk all my life, and now
all my life.
What's wrong? What happens when you drink milk?
They said this shit happens.
Well, I'm lactose. Just became lactose intolerant about 3 or 4 years ago.
Motherfuckers get allergies and shit. When you hit middle age, yeah, that happens, man.
Oh yeah, I understand that, but is it something like we could offset that, or as far as I want to transition into a better diet? I do a little almond milk, but I'm trying to acquire that taste, but I do lactose-free milk. But as far as cooking with your food when you need milk and stuff like that, you buy these little supplements, but it just,
Yeah, I mean, it's tough because I think a lot of us, especially you see it more so in African Americans, that's probably one of the common things I'll see or I'll detect when I'm talking to African American patients. They're like, Doc, what's up with this gas? I got this gas and bloating. And for me, it happened when I was around 32, 33. I noticed when I had like a milkshake one day, it tore me up. And then from then on, I couldn't really tolerate milk to that degree. I can still tolerate it some. I can tolerate, cream of crab soup. I just know how to do it and when to do it. I don't do it at the beginning of my meal. I'll kind of eat it halfway through my meal.
Gotcha.
Towards the tail end, and I realized I could tolerate it without having any issues. But what happens is as we get older, we lose the enzyme to help us digest the sugar in milk. And when we can't digest the sugar in milk, the bacteria in your colon can, and it turns it into gas and water. Hence the gas, the bloating, the noisy stomach, and the diarrhea, depending on how much you're consuming. So going to lactose-free milk is a good thing, but you can also maybe supplement. Like I go to lactose-free milk, but then if I'm out eating something that has dairy in it that's rich or creamy, then I'll just use lactate tablets. So you just take some of the enzymes right before your meal, and a lot of times that will allow you to digest that sugar in milk. So doing bacon and having stuff like that, you can probably tolerate stuff that has dairy in it if you use the lactate tablets. Cheesecake may tear you up if you don't do the lactate tablets, but everybody has, you still make some of the enzyme. It just depends. You just got to figure out what you can get away with and what you cannot.
Gotcha.
Yeah, I've always had that problem. Lately I just got that problem, having that same issue as Chuck, man. But I had a question about, I actually have high blood pressure in my family, right? It runs on my mom's side. My grandmother had it. My mom has it. My dad to some degree. And so, I've been told that maybe just genetically we have smaller veins. I don't know if that makes sense, but I'm in good shape. I work out every day, but my high blood pressure is still elevated. And so for the first time last year, or not even last year, probably about right before the pandemic hit, I started getting on blood pressure medication, to try to manage it. And so it's brought it down, but it's not, it's still kind of jive like elevated. Now I don't eat the best, I have a cheat day every Friday, and I probably don't eat the best consistently. And I can feel when I've had too much salt intake, like it literally makes me anxious. Like if I can feel my heart rate, or, if I've had like Chipotle and as the meat has been salted a little bit more than it should be, then I can actually feel that and be like, damn, they put too much salt in there. Is there anything that I can do other than that? Other than just work out and doing what I'm already doing?
I think that you're doing, it sounds like you're doing a good job health-wise. You're keeping your weight down, you're trying to eat right and things of that nature. Salt plays like some role in it, so to try to minimize some of that extra salt that you may be doing. But given that there might be some genetics playing a role into the high blood pressure, it would be pretty much just trying to push your doctor to kind of find ways to kind of get that blood pressure down a little bit more. I think sometimes, I was just reading an article the other day about the discrepancy sometimes among African Americans when it comes down to certain diseases, about their doctors pushing, they may let things ride a little bit in an African American patient, but their Caucasian patient, they may push them down a little bit lower. So that may play a role in like the discrepancy as far as those numbers. But usually if I have a patient who's still high despite blood pressure medications, I try to get them to get referred to they actually have a specialist for that, so some cardiologists specialize in high blood pressure alone, or some internal medicine physicians specialize in that as well. So seeking out that route and saying, hey, I have a family history and you want to get your blood pressure under control up under that 120/80 mark, you kind of want to be up under that, and kind of use that for a goal.
All right.
But I'm not taking anything away from whatever you're doing, as long as you don't smoke and you're,
I don't smoke or anything like that. I don't smoke consistently. I definitely smoke cigarettes and stuff like that. So I'm just wondering, it scares me because I don't have any other issues, but that is a major issue. You know what I mean? So
right. Exactly. And the key for that, for high blood pressure, just with some of those risk factors, with some of those other disorders, is as long as you keep those numbers in that normal range where it's kind of controlled and you follow normal with meds, then I think overall, that you're doing okay. Yeah. I think that's going to be the main thing. That's going to decrease your risk for stroke, blindness, heart disease, kidney disease, and things of that nature.
Tom, I got a couple questions.
He about to get his invoices out in a minute, man. Go ahead.
Is there any validity, do you think, to eating towards your blood type?
Eating towards your blood type? I kind of skimmed that article of blood type. I don't think so. I don't think so. Not in my opinion. I haven't gone into detail about that, but from from what some of the things that I've kind of read about it and skimmed about it, it seems a little bit gimmicky per se.
Yeah.
I have a cousin actually who swears by it. I mean, he lost weight, but then again, when you look at what he's done, he's basically just put himself on a healthy diet, cut back his portions, and I think he slimmed down his weight that way. So,
Right.
but to tie it to a blood type, yeah, I don't think it has to be that tough.
So I started a diet. Cool alluded to it. And the more I read about it, I don't know how effective it could be for the purpose that I took it. The alkaline diet. I had a battling cancer now.
Right.
And they say that the cancer thrives in an acidic environment. So I wanted to try to make it more alkaline.
Right.
And I started the alkaline diet for that purpose.
Right.
Byproduct is I've lost a ton of weight. But kind of like what you alluded to with your cousin, it's all healthy. My diet now is completely healthy. I'm eating healthy. So it's not shocking that I've lost all this weight. But the more I read about it, that the alkaline that the food that I'm eating doesn't affect your blood, and that your blood has its own, or your body has its own system or ability to regulate your pH in your blood. And eating the food doesn't really affect that. What's your take on that?
Yeah, I mean, I haven't had a chance to read about the alkaline diet per se. So I can't comment too much on the alkaline diet or how it affects you per se. I just try to keep things pretty simple when it comes down to diet, and try to look to kind of see what data do they have as far as decreasing anything, as far as, decreasing your risk of disease, increasing your life. What is that diet going to do for you, and try to follow it that way. Because a lot of times people can come up with different types of diets and we all go through them. But to me, they all come down to the same basic principles, get the body as healthy as you can, exercise, keep your weight down low, and protect yourself other ways by your vaccinations, your healthcare screening stuff and things of that nature. But unfortunately, I can't speak to the alkaline diet part. I just don't know enough about it.
It's when you look at it, it's just healthy eating.
Okay. All right. So when it comes down to it, right. And it could be right. It could be that is the case. And again, with a lot of those diets, when you start looking at, some of them have different, stress, different tidbits here and there, whether or not you do Atkins, low carb, paleo. The reality of it is that any one of those diets allow you to eat healthy. And it's just a matter of, eating the right portions, keeping that calorie content within range. My feeling is, my overall gut feeling is that everybody should eat like they have diabetes. If everybody ate like you had diabetes, then everybody would be a lot healthier, because you're only eating so many calories a day. So
don't do that.
Hey, and
but
day, you know what I'm saying? If you could do that, and Friday you eat whatever you want, or Saturday, you eat whatever you want, then that's probably fine. I just try to eat clean. Me personally, I just try to eat very clean Monday through Friday, and then I probably pretty much do that Saturday as well. If I cheat, it's usually on like a Sunday. It's a weird day.
So Doc, the people want to know, man. First of all, thank you for being here again. What do you eat on a daily basis? Chelsea, get this. It's very important. Doc, what do you eat on a daily basis?
Daily basis, I usually will do this high protein version of oatmeal in the morning. It has about 14 grams of protein in it and probably like 4 carbs. And that's
what exactly is that? I mean, break that down to us. Is it oatmeal?
Yeah.
Just break it down to what exactly is that? What do you eat?
Yeah. So usually I'll do like a serving size of steel cut oatmeal. And then usually I have like some protein powder I put in there, and usually
what type?
Shoot, I can't think of it. It's whey protein. I think it's like whey protein. It's just like iso protein, iso pure. I can't think of
Yeah,
the
they got a
brand.
shitload of them. You know, you can go to
Yeah, so-
GNC
Yeah,
and find one.
yeah, but it's just one of those ones. It's just one of those ones you use for the gym, and it's whey
Okay.
protein. It's
Okay.
25 grams in a scoop. I take a half a scoop, put that in my oatmeal,
Okay.
stir that up, and then usually have a cup of coffee. That's usually breakfast.
Black coffee, right?
Lunch, I wean myself off of bread. I mean, I love bread like Jay and stuff like that. And I used to eat sandwiches for lunch all the time, but I don't eat bread for lunch anymore. So I basically just
How about snacks? Any snacks in between lunch? No snacks?
no snacks between, not for me.
Okay,
Not
cool.
between
So
breakfast,
breakfast.
lunch.
So now we're at lunch. So
Lunch. And then
Okay.
lunch is usually just a salad. And
Mhm.
usually I do one of those, those sun-kissed tuna packets.
Mhm.
Mhm.
One of those. I put that in my salad, and I have some low-calorie, sugar-free Walden's dressing, and I use that for the salad.
okay.
And
Okay.
that's pretty much, I do that. Like, I get teased at work all the time because everybody knows I got salad for lunch. But for
Okay.
me, it works, and I'm good.
Mhm.
And then for a snack, I usually, like, around 2 o'clock, I'll snack on some beef jerky. And
Okay.
I'll do that, some spicy beef jerky. And I may have like another protein shake around that time. And then for dinner, I usually try to stick to 7 grams of whatever protein, whether it's seafood, fish, chicken, 2 cups of veggies. And then I usually, for dessert or something, I would allow myself one treat during the day, like one of those Atkins bars, or I'll do, usually I'll stick to like those Atkins bars. Or sometimes I may just have like a cookie or something like that if I decide something sweet. Because I know for the day, I can do that and I won't gain any weight.
Strong.
Here's the thing, man. And I
Hold on a
think
second, Jay.
that
Hold on, Jay, hold on a second. Chelsea, make sure you cut that, because that's very information for our client base. What he just said, cut that. But go ahead, Jay.
yeah, and but here's the thing, cool, and Doc, we talk about the risk factors with Black men, and what I think what we haven't talked about is one of the reasons why it's you named everything that you did from your daily intake,
Right.
and that takes preparation. 2, that is more probably costly. Like, I'd be willing to take how much money you actually spend in actually, buying, preparing your foods or what have you, and actually going to a certain grocery store to get those items.
Yeah.
And I think the problem with especially the Black male population is that, one, there's an access issue. And then there's a lack of being able to prepare it, because a lot of those times, in order to be in shape and to stay and eat healthy, you got to prepare your food ahead of time. A lot of times, but I think with a lot of Black men, a lot of Black folks, period, we live in neighborhoods that don't have access to those healthy foods, and healthy food is actually more expensive than eating your bullshit, eating your Popeyes. And the stuff which you can get quickly.
2 for $5 and Burger King and shit.
Right. In DC, you go to a carryout, you can get full off of wings and French fries for $5-6. But if you're doing that, you're gonna have high blood pressure, you're gonna have diabetes and all types of stuff by the time you're 35, 40 years old. But it's easy to make. It's easy to purchase. There's no preparation involved. You just go and buy it. One of the hardest things I found in trying to eat right is really trying to find, not necessarily, you probably we have the money to purchase that, but trying to find the right foods, and then being able to try to constantly prepare it all the time. And I think that's one of the reasons I think Black folks are at risk more so than any other ethnic group, especially white folks, is because we don't have access to healthy foods, and it's a lot more expensive.
No, it is, Jay. I'm not gonna lie to you. I think that when I kind of started down that journey to try to lose the weight, definitely I've been to the grocery store more in the last 3 years than I've ever been. Because the reality of it is, to get those salads in a form that I'm gonna be consistent with my diet, I gotta I'll buy individual salads, right? And I may go to the grocery store every week to do that, but I know for me in my busy lifestyle, I've learned that, you really have to focus on yourself as far as what works for you. You know, what's going to allow you to be successful from Monday through Friday. I'm not a meal prep person. I'd be lying to you if I said I'm going to sit up Sunday and pack all my meals for all 5 days a week.
You just get it done for you at the store.
Right? Yeah. I mean, that's not going to happen. I don't have the desire. Now, I'll go and buy 5 salads on Sunday. So when some Monday morning comes and I get off from the gym or whatever, I go to the refrigerator, grab my salad, grab my packet of tuna, grab me a knife and fork. My salad dressing was already in packets and it's low calorie. I throw that in the bag and I'm out the house in 5 minutes. You know, that's my type of preparing and packaging that I can commit to. And yes, you're right. It definitely is more expensive. You know, I know some people who cook all their meals on Sunday, package up all their chicken, cut up all the breast of chicken. I give them for that, but I just can't do that. I know when I tried that, it just didn't work. I couldn't be consistent.
Yeah.
You need to, I've learned it's not how fast you get there. You just got to come up with something that's going to be consistent that you can commit to every day and kind of get it done. And with access to different foods, I think you're right, Jay. I think it's trying to teach those people who live in those areas, what are your extra choices that you have? Yes, you might be able to go to fast food or Wendy's, but you still have some healthy options at Wendy's that are healthier than other options, right? You know, we all get caught out on vacation where I didn't bring anything. I'm at the beach or I'm at so-and-so, and I got to choose on that menu. Am I going to eat this or that? And what you may elect to do is say, you know what, I may eat a burger, but I'm just going to not eat it on a bun, get rid of the carbs and just eat the burger and use that for my protein, get some extra lettuce and eat it clean like that and call it quits. Or I'll just get a salad. It's not the best salad, but I'll just get the salad, you know, and don't get the dressing and things of that nature. And then folks will laugh at me because I'm the type of person, I'll bring salad dressing when I go out to eat. Because I realize that, you know, when I'm really trying to be clean, I'll just pack a few salad dressing packets, throw them in my pocket, and we sitting at a restaurant, I'll break it open and put it on my salad, mainly because I just don't want the extra 300 calories. Because when you look at it in the day, would you rather have a cookie or would you want to have a plate of salad dressing? I'd rather have the cookie if I'm going to eat the calories.
Thank
right?
you.
You know, so it's just a matter of trying to fine tune that diet. And that takes time. I mean, you know, it takes, you know, I tell people trying to lose weight, it takes 3 months takes about 4 weeks to develop, or what they say, 3 weeks to get a habit.
Yeah,
3 weeks for a habit. Yeah.
3 weeks for a habit. But it takes 3 to 6 months to get the discipline to kind of say no to stuff, to walk in and look at a whole box of Krispy Kreme donuts and just like look at it sitting there and you just kind of just roll out. You know, you look at it, you're like, yeah, all right, not today. And you just leave. You know, that takes time, you know?
Yeah, I feel like shit. I ate 6 of them motherfuckers yesterday. Damn.
Hey.
Oh, call me this.
There's no wrong with that, but
hey, bro, this is the whole purpose of the podcast, man.
It's the reset button.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Reset
button.
If you know better, we gotta do better.
You ate 6 of the Krispy Kreme, like I used to do that too, right? I take Krispy Kreme, you go there, and I bring like a dozen home, right?
Yeah.
I eat 2 out of the dozen, and you eat the rest of the dozen. But over the course of the days, you still ate the dozen. So the key
is, it's funny because I told the wife to get some donuts, right? We counted out how many donuts we needed. We came out to a dozen. We had allotted everything in the house. Me, my wife, my daughter. I go to Krispy Kreme and I was like, yeah, I ordered a dozen. I was like, yeah, let me get 6 more. So I ate them motherfuckers for, you know, like half of them I got home. Got home, and the rest of them shit, so they threw that box away. And then she thought I was being good, right? So they eat the donuts, whatever. Then she found the box. She's like, you cocksucker.
Right. Hey, man, I'm not gonna lie. I remember the first Christmas last year, I came home for Christmas with 2 boxes of donuts. It was crushing donuts. Felt sick like the next day, but I crushed the donuts. And then I just end up going back on it, you know, because I just realized I just don't like all that sugar. But you know, the key is just small changes. You know, grab your donuts.
I got just a thing.
Hey, call me. I got to come back.
I'm here.
Come back.
I'm here.
I need to hear me. I need you to come back though.
I can see you though. I can hear you.
No, bro. You gotta come back.
All right.
I know you got your Dre beats. You know what I'm saying? You can probably go downstairs in Wakanda and still talk.
But after a while, once you cut that sugar out and stuff, after a while, it's overwhelming when you start eating again. You know, like,
but
it is.
Guys,
oh, cool.
Check it out.
I got the solution right here.
First
thing Monday, I'm about to get back in the gym. First thing Monday.
And the guys, listen, Carby was my roommate in 1990, right? This is one thing I know about him for sure. When he gets disciplined and locked in on something, it's kind of difficult to get him off his block, right?
That's
So
true.
what I heard you saying, Colby, right now, you about to get in shape and you about to lose 100 pounds. Is that what I just heard?
Well, you know, I did this in 2017. I
Before.
dropped, I dropped like
Exactly.
80 pounds. Yeah, I got on
80
P90X.
pounds. Colby has pants and he had a set of pants and he put his body in one leg of the pants.
Yeah.
So when he get locked in, it's a different ball game. So
actually,
for
I was
us,
getting there because I did about 60 days P90X right before I had COVID, and you know, obviously I had COVID in October. Tom, you don't know that.
You knew,
So
guys,
I got like negative,
I got an idea. I got an idea. What we do? I want to do this for our podcast, right? I need you to document your process of losing 100 pounds. I'm gonna document my process of losing 40 pounds.
Hey, whoa, shit, man.
Hey, no, this is what we about to do. Accountability. Every week we see each other.
Shit, I guess so.
When I look at Tom looks so great. Tom was a big boy. Tom was a big boy in college, man. Like, man, come on, Tom. I look at Tom right now. He got them Bill DeVoe, this motherfucker, bald head, and he got all the hoes now.
Oh,
you know what I'm saying? So, hold on, man. Shit, this thing ain't gonna beat me.
But wait, you know what? Let me tell you one thing real quick. On back on the diabetes shit. And this will make me do it again. This will make me do it the first time. And this conversation tonight is gonna make me do it again. I was talking to some other doctor friends, right? And he one of the doctor friends had a screenshot of an HIV positive result, right? For some patient.
Right.
And he sent the screenshot without the name, just showed HIV reactive. And my response to that was, I said, shit, somebody's life about to change today. And his response fucked me up. Another doctor was on the thread. His response fucked me up. He said, shit, I'd much rather a patient be HIV positive and have diabetes and have blood pressure. And then the next line he said, oh, no offense, KB.
Oh, shit.
I was like, damn, what the fuck does that mean? And he was like, man, they got drugs for HIV and AIDS and shit, man. Yeah. But the diabetes and blood pressure kill your ass. And I was like,
well, yeah, no, I mean, that's true. I mean, well, nowadays HIV to us anymore. I mean, the medications work, the side effect profiles are low.
What's that shit? They have commercials. They got Victarvia and shit, whatever they got on TV.
Yeah,
they keep them commercials on. You know what I'm saying? But I'm like, they hit me like. Because, you know, we grew up in the era when AIDS came about, and that shit was a fucking death sentence for real.
Death sentence.
Right.
And to hear doctors say high blood pressure and diabetes is worse than that shit, I was like,
AIDS.
Yeah. I mean,
give my ass some gym.
And the reason why most black men who have HIV/AIDS are dying more so than white men is because they're usually not compliant with their medications. So that usually ends up being a thing. They're not compliant.
Well, you know, like I said. First thing Monday, I was actually going today, but I'm doing I got a sleep apnea test on tomorrow night, going in for that. Right. So I had to take that COVID test prior to that.
Oh yeah.
And I got to self-isolate.
You negative?
I'm negative, but I got to self-isolate before I go get this CPAP titration test. So that's why I couldn't go to the gym today. But I'm about to get back in the gym. Like I said,
it's a great time because guess what? Homecoming being a year. You take that shirt off with the brands on, like, what's up, baby? Y'all see Colby? All right. You got that liquid slim tree on your hole. What's up?
Yeah, well, you know, we got the boat. We're gonna have a boat on. We have a boat on Lake Michigan next summer, so you know, I got to be ready for May.
Oh, this summer. Okay, so hold up. So then they ship the boat to Lake Michigan, and they ship the
books.
Come on, I got a 380. Gonna be right there. You can't see it from here, but you know, well, I guess you could see it. It's right here, you know, right up the way, kind of. But yeah. We have a 380 out there this summer. So yeah, we're gonna be ready. Brand's gonna be out, you know what I'm saying? We're good.
Brand's gonna be out.
Brand's gonna be out. Might get some new ones. Shit, you know what I'm saying? Not that trying to condone any of that kind of activity. It's restricted.
Yeah. It's all been a great America, man. Somebody great America, man, you know, loving our wives and family, things, those type of things.
Man,
things
exactly.
Are important. That's what we're about.
Yeah, skin off your dick. This
Tom,
shit.
thank you, man.
Man, Tom, Dr. Abernathy, brother, we appreciate you coming on, man. You know, this is great. Like I said, we
wrap it up
for a minute. I'm wrapping it up, dog. Damn, what it sound like I'm doing?
I'm sorry, my bad. Damn, I'm sorry.
Shut up, dog.
Go ahead, Carl. I'm sorry, my bad.
Anyway, man, we appreciate you coming on. And you know, I know it got to the point where you might want to send a couple of us invoices for all these questions and shit that we had going on. But hey, we appreciate your time and all the knowledge and expertise you share with us and our viewers. And man, you know, come back again. And next time we might just shoot the shit on whatever topic. You know what I'm saying? You don't have to be in a professional capacity. You can put your hat on backwards and just talk shit.
Come
like
home early, so I won't have to dress up. You know.
Nah, that's good shit. We, you know, the consummate professional. Again, we appreciate your time and you coming on. But hey, another great episode next week. We got another banger coming out. So hey, go, you know, Dahouse94.com, Dahouse94 podcast, Spotify, Apple, YouTube, Twitter, IG, all of that. Like, love it, subscribe, and give your feedback. We keep telling you, you know, we don't get our feelings hurt. So tell us what you think. Tell us how much you love us, because we know you love the shit. And hey, we'll see you next week. Have a happy Thanksgiving, and we out.
Peace.
Roof. Good shit.